Mr. Mayor, favor. What happened, sir? Favor. What happened, sir? Favor. This is your 139th arrest. Favor. $300 a day. $300 a day. Your money. Slack. Your money. $300 a day, man. $300 a week, I make already slack. Yeah. Come on, Friday, you make tomorrow. You want your money. Yeah. Keep thinking. Can't stop it.
How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about what you just saw, which was a 56-year-old man who has now been arrested 139 times, 6 times since January 1st in New York City as a result of their quote-unquote bail reform laws that have made their way onto the books. Now, this particular story is crazy, but I'm going to put it in context with bail reform in general, because that is a really big problem in New York City. Crime is spiking, but I get to that in a moment. Getting back to the guy that had been arrested many times. I think he's done like 6 terms in jail. He's been home and right back out there on the street, kind of like robbing people on the subway. $200, $300 a day he might make, as you heard him say. He doesn't really care about getting locked up because he knows that you have the bail reform. You're not even going to get locked up. He might do a few hours in the joint, 24 hours mostly, and then to get right back out on the street. Okay. He said, not in the particular video you saw, but according to what I've read, and I'll place that on the screen before you, he said, hey, bail reform, it's lit. The Democrats know me. Republicans hate me. It's the Democrats. It's the Democrats. So basically he's saying, I'm loving the new bail reform. I can do whatever I want to do. I could take your money. I could take your money. I could take your money. I won't even really get locked up. And the Democrats are to thank for it. The Republicans don't want him to be, I don't know, constantly robbing people with no kind of real punishment. Because let's be clear. Let's zoom out a little bit here. The whole bail reform thing is intended to decrease the number of quote unquote pretrial detainees, meaning those that are in jail awaiting trial who may not be able to make bail by 40%. Okay. Now, some of the bail amounts are very high. Some of them are low, like $100, $200. Some of them are very high. One guy got released due to the quote unquote bail reform laws who was in jail for manslaughter. He killed somebody, got sent home. He was in Rikers Island for months, just got sprung randomly because of the new bail reform. Okay. They're talking about, oh, some of the things may seem kind of scary, but they're not. Crimes like second-degree manslaughter, home invasion, bank robbery, all those kind of crimes like that, you were able to get sent home. Okay. That's the reality. I've seen situations where a guy would get released under the new bail reform. He comes home and does the same thing again or does something worse. One guy killed a person in a drunk driving accident, quote unquote accident. He was drunk driving and killed somebody. There was a guy that got locked up for bank robbery, was released under the new bail reform system, came home and robbed yet another bank. So it was like, okay, what are we doing? At a certain point, some people should be either just not even granted bail at all, should be remanded, or their bail should be very high. So it'd be impossible for them to meet. I mean, if you catch somebody robbing a bank, how you gonna let them just go? It doesn't make any sense. Back when I was in Virginia, I saw a guy trying to rob a bank get killed in the bank by just a random patron in there who's happened to have his gun on him. Oh, and by the way, New York talks about, oh, the guns. We got to get the guns off the street, gun control this, gun control that. There are some gun crimes you can commit in New York City that will have you eligible for this new bail reform law. So you might get caught with a pistol, whatever. You get sent to the joint and let you go because of bail reform. So, I mean, we're talking about gun control this, gun control that. How about enforcing your own laws? How about not having such loose and lax laws? There are certain people that are out there who are repeat offenders. The guy I told you earlier, 193 arrests. This is an older man, 50-something years old enough to be my father. Like, I'm literally not much younger than my father, maybe like 2 or 3 years younger. Okay. I got people that are my family that are like my dad's cousins who grew up together like this, that same age. So this is an older man. He knows what's right and what's wrong. He's been in jail many times before, I think 6 prison terms. So it's like what you have here is a general menace to society. Very simple. And he's not actually going to learn anything. He needs to get locked up and not be granted any kind of bail, or he should have a very high bail. How many times you got to rob somebody or steal something or kill somebody or rob a bank and home invade, breaking into houses, stealing stuff before you say, you know what, maybe this whole bail reform thing isn't really a good thing to do. Now, the counter argument is, oh, it targets quote unquote people of color, and this is abusive. This is a new civil rights fight. This is targeted towards minorities. It's like, look, if you're arrested 193 times for the same offense, you got witnesses, victims, videotape, all kind of stuff showing you do the thing. Like, is it wrong to say that you did it? There's evidence here, sir. It's not about trying to look at you any kind of way negatively because of your skin color. It's about the crimes you're committing. That's all. I'm not trying to have people locked up and have the key thrown away off of little small things. We're talking about things that are really important, people that are really dangerous, and that should not be out on the street willy-nilly with no kind of bail. It's simple. I mean, if you get caught like robbing the bank, literally, how would you get just let go immediately off of that? It doesn't make any sense. I think they said that 90% of the arrestees are released. 90% of the arrestees are released. So what's the point in getting arrested to begin with? Might as well just not even arrest them. And this is what kind of causes an issue in places like New York City with these, bail reform, trying to be compassionate, trying to be caring, trying to be loving, all this, that. And the third, people on the other side don't look at it from others' point of view. They may just see it from one person's point of view, somebody else's point of view, like Khalif Browder. There was this whole story made about him. He was in Rikers Island, couldn't make bail. I think he wound up killing himself or something like that. That's not really the majority of what's happening. What you have are just people who are allowed to just kind of roam the streets that should not be able to roam the streets. But from their eyes, they only see Khalif Browder or their cousin or their friend that probably shouldn't been locked up. They don't look at the entirety of New York City, the state, the tri-state, and the people that you don't want to see on an everyday basis that are allowed to roam the streets terrorizing people. You got one person doing it and somebody else doing it, and then you got 2,000 people on the street that shouldn't be terrorizing it, making the city become less safe, making it become less desirable for tourists, driving down the property value, driving down the general standard upon which New York City should place itself as a international, a world city, one of the best cities in, on a planet. It's being reduced back to what it was in the 70s, 80s, looking like Los Angeles is right now with all the feces and the urine and the needles and whatnot, but I'll move on. My whole point is that when you do things like bail reform and you reduce the power of the police, thank you, Bill de Blasio, for that, you're going to have a general decline in the city, in the safety of your citizens, in the prosperity of the city. People like AOC in charge, just kicking jobs out. You have Amazon trying to bring 25,000 jobs. People need those jobs in New York. You just want to shoo them away. This is what happens when you go all the way far to the left. You have a lack of prosperity, a lack of safety, a lack of everything, and it'll make the people just run to the government for all their aid and assistance rather than the government doing what they should be doing, which is providing safety for their citizens to a certain degree. They should be able to protect themselves as well with the guns, which is crazy because you got guys, getting locked up for gun charges and other guys getting locked up and then let go. It's just a weird situation. Overall, I think that, the governor of New York, was it Andrew Cuomo, Bill de Blasio, New York City, these guys got to just tighten up, man. This is not going to work out too well because crime has spiked. I'm seeing headlines everywhere. New York City, crime spike. New York, crime spike, crime spike. I'm seeing it everywhere. The bail reform is not happening because people that really want to push for a thing like this, these regular normies, quote unquote activists or whatever, they can't see the consequences of a thing that they do. They just think, oh, okay, justice for Khalif Browder, one individual, but they don't look at the criminals, the rapists, the murderers, the thieves that kind of operate outside the law that may do a thing that is not necessarily the crime that you think that they should be held in jail for, but they do something else. Then they're not held in jail, and then they go out and kill somebody. That is the result of the quote-unquote bail reform. And you got guys getting let go on crimes where somebody died, robbing the bank, breaking into somebody's house, home invasion. This is ridiculous. But at the end of the day, as I close, I just want to say New York City, This is not going to be the way forward. People are going to revolt against you. I want to see how they vote, New York City, that is, in the next election for mayor. Bill de Blasio, guys like that, do they have a chance anymore? Are they going to go back to a Giuliani direction? Hard to tell, but I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? Do you think that I'm correct about bail reform in New York City, New York State, and in general across the nation is not a good thing to do because you're going to allow criminals that should not be on the street to terrorize people? If that's your viewpoint, let me know why in the comments below. Or am I just overreacting? I'm overreacting about people that, you know, actually have been accused of killing somebody, being let go with zero bail. Am I overreacting? Am I overreacting that a guy who got caught red-handed doing a bank robbery was let go, talking about, oh, he didn't have a gun, it was just larceny. If I rob a bank, is it the equivalent of stealing a candy bar from Rite Aid? Anyway, the guy that robbed the bank, should he have been let go with no bail to only come home and rob another bank? When you just let them go and there's no kind of penalty, they think, oh, I'm free, I can do whatever I want. That's the mentality of these guys, and to a certain extent, they're right. But whatever your comments are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.